Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, please check out the previous video. In that video, I go through this house and I do the pre-analysis of it. I will link that video in the description box below. So I set up a showing with my realtor for this house since my criteria was hit for this property. Some things that I'm looking for when I look at the exterior is the foundation wall. I'm checking for cracks, crumbling, any issues in the concrete or block, whatever the foundation might be. Other things I'm looking for are rotted windowsills, bad or rotted siding. This is cedar shake siding, and it all looks pretty good. There's a couple spots in the foundation, but not too bad overall. Now let's move on to the roof. So I send the drone up to see the roof. As you can see, these are the old 3-tab shingles, so this roof is pretty old. I would guess, 30 years maybe. Anything newer is going to have the architectural shingles on it. This roof isn't leaking right now. It doesn't look to be in too bad a condition. It's got the metal ridge vents there. As we move on to the chimney, you can see there's some issues here. It's cracked and there is no flashing on it. So that would definitely need to be addressed. There's quite a bit of moss growing on this side of the house, but that's not a big deal. There's companies that you can hire to come take care of that, or there's chemicals you can actually put onto it, take care of it yourself. Overall, the roof looks in decent shape. I estimate I could get about 5 years out of it at least before I have to replace it, but that is going to be an upcoming expense, and it will probably cost $10,000 is my estimation. Okay, let's move on to the inside. The inside of this house looks pretty decent overall. This is owner occupied, so they tend to take care of it a little bit more than a tenant would. There are a ton of things that I look for when I do these walkthroughs on the inside. I always look underneath the sinks to see if there's been leaking and the bottom of the cupboard is rotted out or anything. And another thing is flooring. I do not like carpet flooring in my rentals for, I would say, obvious reasons. If they have pets, or even if you don't have pets, the carpet just gets dirty and holds on to dirt and stains and smells. And depending how long your tenant has been there and how clean they are, you're probably going to have to change the carpet every time you have a turnover. Another thing is the basement. The breaker box, I always check. These were old Pushmatic breakers, which are not great. They're not used anymore, but a lot of these old houses still have them. You can still buy the breakers for them, but they're really expensive and they just don't work very well. Along with that, you're going to want to check the wiring. A lot of these old houses will have knob and tube wiring, which is not good and usually not up to code. If you don't touch it, you're usually fine, but if you do any remodeling, you will have to change it to Romex. Hot water heaters and furnaces are things that will always give you issues. These two were actually only a few years old, so they should be good for a long time. One thing strange we did notice was this duct tape on the gas line elbow. I don't know if they're trying to cover up a leak, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it so you don't hit your head on it. Overall, the furnace looks good. It looks like it was installed by a professional. Sometimes you come into these houses and you just see some janky stuff. Some other things you want to check while you're in the basement is plumbing, both water lines and sewer plumbing. It's always good to see PVC plumbing, but a lot of these houses have cast iron. Cast iron will rot from the inside out, so sometimes it's hard to even tell if it's bad. If you see signs of rusting through, then it's at the end of its life. As far as water lines go, I always like to see PEX in here, but a lot of it's usually copper, so just check any joints and shutoffs to see if they have corrosion or anything else. Now we're moving up to the upstairs, the 3 bedrooms upstairs and 1 bathroom. This bathroom was in pretty good shape. The only thing I would probably change in here is the flooring. The owner took some peel-and stick and put it on the flooring, but they didn't do a very good job. They didn't line up anything, and maybe recaulk the tub. Other than that, it's in pretty good shape. One thing you want to know is when you're upstairs, obviously you're closest to the roof, and so if there's a roof leak, you're going to see staining or some water damage on the roof up here. If you see staining or water damage downstairs, it's going to be coming from the bathroom usually, or a pipe that's running the ceiling. Next, we head into the bedrooms. This is a 3-bedroom house. One thing that I always look for is good sized bedrooms. Technically, a bedroom is considered a bedroom if it has a closet, a window, it's 7 by 7, and it is not accessed through another bedroom. However, I have noticed that tenants are very particular when it comes to bedroom size, and if the bedrooms are too small, they're not interested in the house. Other things I'm looking for in these bedrooms are cracked walls, which would indicate a foundation issue or a settling issue, and again, ceiling issues, whether there's water stains or any other signs of water damage. Overall, this house looks very good. Very, very little needs to be done to it. The roof is the main thing, so I will be putting an offer in. And I'm going to show you, now that I've walked through it, the post-analysis of it. So, we have done the pre-analysis, which was in the last video. We've done the showing, and we walked through the building. We identified a few things that needed to be addressed. Mainly was the roof. That was the big ticket item. Next, we're at the post-analysis stage. So if you remember correctly, this is the spreadsheet I had up in the last video. The purchase price was $60,000. We have closing cost at 4%. This is our total capital required, almost $14,000. The loan that I get, I had to put 20% up, and they're for 20 years, and right now the interest rate is at 8%. The rent I think I can get for this is $1,300. This is the vacancy percent that I always put in, equal to 1 month of rent. 5% maintenance, 10% management fee. This is the insurance and the taxes that are on that property. If you want to see how I got these numbers and to see the pre-analysis, please watch the previous video, which there's going to be a link in the description. Now that I know that the roof is going to be about $10,000, what I'm going to do is, I believe the roof has at least 5 years of life left into it. So I'm going to divide the $10,000 price tag of the roof by 5 years, which makes $2,000 a year. So I'm going to just put this $2,000 in this box. First, you need to make sure that it's going to be a negative $2,000. So that goes into there. As you can see, that puts my cash on cash return at 17%, which is not acceptable. That means I'm going to have to adjust the cost of the property. I believe it's going to be $52,000. Yes. So as you can see, if I pay $52,000 for this property, and I'm squirreling away $2,000 every single year to pay for the roof in 5 years, that will put me at a 25% cash on cash return, which is what I'm looking for. That means I am putting in an offer of $52,000. So next I'm going to contact my realtor and have him put in an offer for $52,000 on this property, and we will see what happens. I'm assuming they're probably going to come back with a counter offer, which is fine. However, this is my highest and best based on these numbers. So we might get it, we might not. One thing in this business is you do not want to overpay for something. There's always going to be a deal out there. Do not get emotionally attached to anything. If a deal does not meet your criteria, do not buy it. You don't want to be too greedy on the flip side and always lowball, because you're not gonna get a lot of deals that way. You're better off just sticking to your criteria. If a deal meets your in my case 25% cash on cash return, then put an offer in at that and pay that. And with that, I'm going to end this video. If you found anything useful and you enjoyed it, please like it and subscribe to the channel.